Richmond's coaching process has reached the last phase. The final two contenders are being put through their last interviews right now, and the decision time looms for the board. Will Damien Hardwick's successor be Andrew McQualter or Adam Yze?
I just rang Tim Livingston over the break and said, I'm loving the opportunity I got and I'm keen to have a crack at it. And from there, the club will run a thorough process. They're a very smart bunch of people, so whenever that begins, I'll just go with the flow and see what happens.
This notion that you've got to get a premiership coach, the statistics would demonstrate that's a myth.
Yeah, it is a myth.
It's happened twice in the AFL, well, since the 2000s, Matthews and Malthouse.
Yeah.
Clarkson,
all-time
no.
greats. Yeah.
Thompson, no. Hardwick, no. Chris Scott, no. So there is something about the person with the capability, the aptitude and growing with a group and, you know, and a willingness to really back them and evolve through thick and thin.
In my case, I don't think you're really ever ready. You certainly have done a lot of preparation. You've had an apprenticeship, been around for a long time, but I guess you never know if you're ready until you get the opportunity to do it, and that's my situation where I sort of got thrust into it pretty quickly without much time to think about it.
We would ideally like to have something done, you know, or before the end of the season. I mean, it allows you to go straight into that sort of planning period, post-grand final list management, etc., etc.
The first presentation I had was leading into the week off that we had before the finals, and I've got another meeting next week, so they've allowed me to get through this game as well. So, yeah, step by step and getting through each day.
Is that a chance to present again, that meeting?
Yeah, it will be, and I think that's the last one I'll present to, and then they'll make a decision after that.
How's it gone so far, the process?
Oh, I've really enjoyed it. I've said it before, I really enjoyed the processes of both footy clubs last year that I went through, and this has been no different. It tests you, it puts you in a scenario, and it shows your vulnerability and things like that. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed the process and really proud of the way I've presented.
So Mitch Cleary was on the spot with 7 News today as Yze arrived for his meeting. Nathan Buckley has joined the process at the end, and Trent Cotchin was part of it as well. So a recommendation you would presume would be made by the committee to the board in the near future, and maybe within the next 48 hours.
And Cotchin joined, did he?
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that. He's been a very powerful push for Andrew McQualter as recently as last week, and he's on his commentary towards. But he's a man of integrity. He'll be choosing the right candidate, not the candidate that he thinks should be the coach. Well, part of, I would imagine, I've never been a part of this, but part of what Richmond are looking at is, do they want change? Do they want a guy like Adam Yze coming in from the outside, from a pretty successful footy club in Melbourne? He is the ball movement coach, which has come under a little bit of heat in recent weeks. But do they want an Yze and get new ideas as they go forward? Or Andrew McQualter, who's been with Damien Hardwick, and it's been, as Chris Scott said last night, it's been a pretty successful period and a style of football, and go on that fashion, and that's only the footy sense.
Yep.
There's the psych testing, there's all these other different levels of testing, and GWS expanded on that with Kingsley recently, which we don't know, got any idea about. No idea whatsoever.
And they're in their final phase of that. So we've watched McQualter in the job, and he was very impressive in the way that he handled it and he presented himself, and he's got those inherent relationships already with so much of the Richmond group.
Great calmness about it.
Adam Yze has been running the box at Melbourne for a couple of years now, while Simon Goodwin's been down on the bench. He is so ready.
That's a huge tick.
And you think back on, so he ran second to Adam Kingsley, which looks absolutely meritorious, doesn't it?
It's a good second.
And he would have been the Essendon coach bar for Brad Scott. So he's right on the cusp, and I suspect whichever club ends up choosing him is going to get a real diamond there as well. So they, from the outside, they look like two great choices.
Yeah, they do. I've got no idea personally which way they're going to go. They might not know either. They might have an inkling right now, but they might need a final presentation either sink one or get one over the line.
So we're all on standby to find out who the new coach will be. One of the older coaches is continuing on. You wrote the piece, having spoken to Steve Hocking today, that Chris Scott has agreed to the 2-year extension, which was mooted, which takes him through to the end of 2026.
Which would take him to 16 years as a Geelong coach, having started at 34 years of age, which he's only 47.
Yes.
Chris Scott, 47. And he just seems like a veteran coach with what he's been able to do. I mean, we're both close to Chris. We both admire what he's been able to achieve at the Cats. And there's a transition period going on at Geelong. We know that. So as well as talking to Steve Hocking today, Jared, it wasn't just about, oh, yeah, Chris Scott's been reappointed. That was being mooted. Now it's just made official. We're talking about where is the Geelong Football Club right now, the transition period. Started last year with bringing in young talent. They're probably going to keep their first pick in the top 10 draft this year, bringing another young talent. Chris is going back over the seas, either to Stanford or to Harvard to further explore his, I suppose, learnings. So they're in an interesting spot, the Cats, and we heard Chris on Monday say, I'm not real keen on giving up a Sava Galea. So there's some big decisions to be made, and of course they need an assistant coach, a senior assistant coach, to replace Greg, who's gone to the Gold Coast Suns.